Hello, welcome back. Sean here, Mountains Garage. It's a somewhat pleasant but warm outside Friday afternoon. Last day of school for my son. 6th grade is behind him. Just about now. He should be on the bus. So between now and the time the bus gets here, I've been working on my organization of my Milwaukee M18 tools and batteries and chargers. And then over Thanksgiving and Christmas last year, I picked up in a trade some M12 stuff. So I was hoping an organizer would be the answer to some of my problems, because if the Milwaukees aren't taking up space on a bench somewhere, they're in a cabinet clogging that up. So I don't have a lot of wall space left. Pretty much my 30 by 50 plus an extension. You'd be hard pressed unless you want to go up high to find some usable wall space. But over the last couple summers, I put a lot of shelving on the walls, and I'm going to utilize some of that space. So I'd be better off working while I'm talking instead of sitting here flapping my gums. So it's a Summit. Racing is where I ended up getting them. So I'll give you the part number because everybody's going to ask. It's a Summit SUM-900223. So now you know the part number. It's called a wall hanging organizer or drill organizer. Depends on how you. There's 2 tags on it. They both say something different. So I'm not affiliated with Summit or Milwaukee, but if you're buying auto parts here in the country, you're probably buying from Jegs or Summit most of the time, and your choice of cordless drill is pretty much DeWalt or Milwaukee. So this is an all metal kit. It's powder coated. It has full color instructions. So if you can stare at a picture, you can probably figure it out, even the assembled picture. I like that every piece comes in a bubble bag. This is Hoarder's Paradise right here. When I ship stuff out or even store stuff, I like to put it in these bubble bags. I got a whole stack of them, if you can see them. So, what they don't tell you for step 1 is an M4, I think by 0.75 tap. You got to tap out the 10 holes. I didn't on the first one, and I thought I was going to break off these teensy tiny little screws. So I got smart and ran the tap through all of them. So to assemble it, it's pretty intuitive, especially after you've done a couple. I'll probably still get it wrong, but hey, I'm going to talk and assemble at the same time. At least that's the plan. As I mentioned, these screws are tiny, and with the powder coating on them, it was difficult not to destroy it. They have a little hook on one end and only one screw. It's kind of a neat little design. And when assembled, they're plenty sturdy. They only hang on the wall on 2 screws. So I'm effortlessly putting these screws in. That was not the case. So you start with the Summit logos out, and this bit or drill organizer goes to your left. The middle shelf has extra holes, and you'll see why in a minute. These face down, and before I get everything tight, I go ahead and assemble. Again, you got to hook the hooks through the sheet metal, and if I'm really trick, I can do 2 at once without it falling apart. Maybe 1. Come on, 2. There we go. If I can get it flipped over, put my screws in. Again, I can't say it too many times. I'm not saying you can't do it without tapping the holes, but man, did I fight the first one. I thought I was going to break them off. And I will wait to tighten until I'm done, even though the instructions don't tell you that. So now, we got the basic arrangement, but there's support straps that go here. They have threaded holes as well. There's a slight offset that goes away from the shelf. You got to go over like that, and then you kind of flex it under there. It even stays tight to the back side. Put a screw in it. Repeat 3 times. So I'm so looking forward to having everything in one spot, because I've had it, like everything else, the M18 stuff everywhere. But I can tell already that 3 of these isn't going to do it. But I can get the majority of the popular stuff that I use. I'm going to go ahead and tighten everything up. And you could use power if you wanted to, but there's not that many screws. You could whip it right now. But yeah, so my skill saw for wood, I don't use that often. I'd like to build an extension or do some wood projects, but same with my skill saw. I mean, you can use that on metal or wood, but I don't use that very often, so that could probably live in the cabinet as well. Or I buy one more of these. These are just under 60 bucks. I've seen lots of them are 3D printed out of plastic or flimsier looking than this. This is, when you screw it together, pretty stout piece. Kind of reminds me of, you know, stuff that was built in the 50s and 60s, all made out of metal. They give you wall anchors and long screws. My whole shop, I put 7/16 chipboard, wafer board, whatever you want to call it, and put about 70 gallons of paint on it to make it white, but at least I can screw almost anything to it, it'll stay. But in this case, the 2 you already saw in the thumbnail, and this one's going in a different location. I'm going to put one side into a stud. It hangs on these, so I go ahead and put a level on it. Let's just do it. Let's go install it. Let's just do that. All right, I hope you can see me. On the 2 organizers you saw in the thumbnail side by side, I did the math and put them equally on the wall. This one is going to be a solo. On the ones that you saw in the thumbnail, the top is about even with my shelving. I know there's a stud right there. I can see the screws I put the chipboard on with. I have a level on the shelf. So I'm going to line that one up with the stud, level it right about there. Oops. Perfect. I'm going to mark where the screws got to go. Take that out. Whack in a couple screws. Not all the way tight, but straight in. Install shelf. Tighten screws. I hate that noise when you're missing the screw itself. Now let me decorate it with stuff, and I'll be right back. That's not bad. I'll probably rearrange it a few more times before I'm happy. I did get everything out of the cabinet. Some of this stuff was stored in. My wood skill saw, my jigsaw, my blower. That's the snozzle for the blower behind it. This is an M12 only charger. I do have 2 new M18 and M12 chargers that would be more efficient, but this was already out. And I have some miscellaneous handles and stuff that still belong to the M18 stuff, but it's taking up a lot less space than it was. I would consider buying one more, potentially put next to it. This is my spare transmission for me, by the way, if you're wondering what's under this rag. So, I knew there was an outlet right here, so my charger can plug in right there. All in all, I think it was worthwhile. So, whether I buy one more remains to be seen. Well, I've come this far. What's one more organizer? A lot of times on both Summit and Jags, I'm trying to spend enough to get free shipping. It seems foolish to pay shipping. I'd rather have more parts or more stuff. So I already have an order going. I'll add one more. That way I can put my M18 inflator. I love that thing. Just, set it, forget it, go do something else. When I was transporting the boat last weekend, the trailer tires are supposed to be 65 PSI. They were all sitting at 30. And I just, the weight of the boat was on it, which doesn't seem to affect it any. Just put it on and forget it. And I actually, with my 5.0 battery, which they make 8.0s or better now, but the best batteries I have out of my big battery selection, M18 batteries, is the 5.0s. I inflated every tire in my yard. I went around and did every vehicle, outside, all my trailers. That's a lot of tires. And I finally had to charge the battery, so not bad. So this was a fun little project. I love organization. It's nice to have an afternoon or at least a few hours of not working on transmissions, but I got a couple more to do, so that'll probably be next. But it's Friday. It's not raining yet. It's supposed to rain all weekend, which is always a bummer. This time of year, lots of people have things planned outside, myself included, but nothing you can do about it. Have a nice weekend. Talk to you soon.